right, we're back. We had to have an intermission. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So, oh my gosh. The air quality here, we have really bad air quality in Phoenix. And I don't know how people that live, well, I live somewhere now that's super smoggy. But Mike and I both have had headaches all this week. And it makes you feel really spacey headed and dizzy. And it's a long story. Suffice to say, I'm not on my A game today. But apologies to you for not being on
You're
my A game.
fine.
But all right, I'm sorry. So let's continue where you were. So we were talking about the what was going on next after the uh, hearing somebody on the stairs behind you as you were walking up.
And that shelf fell.
Oh yeah, the
Oh, and then
shelf. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got that stupid Ouija board, and
Yes.
I got rid of that.
So did you actually do the Ouija board and then the stuff happened, or just having it in your house?
I messed with it a little, but only for like maybe 2, 3 minutes. And
Yeah.
I thought, I'm not picking this up. And I know from what I read that, like, for example, the automatic writing, a lot of the people who do automatic writing, it doesn't always come to them first time. They sometimes they sit for weeks before they start writing things, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I use that board maybe, I'm going to say 5 minutes at most, and I think that's even pushing the actual time.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. I didn't feel any different. But then, like, the car broke down, and like surprise bill, and I can't remember what all, but it was all like bad luck. And I thought, you're gone.
Bad voodoo. Yeah, bad juju when you bring yeah, I don't know. I feel like we probably should leave things alone. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
believe that if you're going to use a Ouija board or anything like that, you need someone who knows what they're doing with you. Don't do it on your own.
I feel like nobody really knows what they're doing though, because it's all speculate. Like we don't know. We really don't know. You might think you know, but that doesn't mean you actually know. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like I don't really think that anybody can be an expert on this stuff.
I own, probably 5 or 6 crystal balls, but I don't use them for anything. That I've always loved the look of crystal balls.
Yeah, I have a bunch too. I just like the way I have tons of crystals, tons of, I have a bunch of spheres and stuff, and I just like them. It's not, I don't use them for any other purpose of other than I just think they look nice and I enjoy having them. Yeah.
There's a few times I put like tea lights behind them and stuff to see the light through them, but I
Sure,
thought,
sure.
I don't think I could ever see anything in these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how people claim they could see things in them, but yeah, I just like them.
Well, and it's just, and really, it is just, we use so little of our brain anyways, and our time on this earth is so small compared to whatever the other is. And I think you can speculate and have opinions and, things like that, but to really say that you know that you know that you know, I don't think we can. You know, I just don't think that we can really truly know until we're part of the great beyond ourselves.
We're
And then
supposed
and then we still probably don't get all the answers anyway, so, you know, depending on what you believe, but yeah, I think that anytime you kind of open yourself up to communicating with the other, uh, it's very dangerous, you
Mhm.
know, because we don't really know what we're talking to,
That's true.
and even if the entity, whatever you want to call it, is saying, hi, I'm so and so, that doesn't mean it's so and so. And if they're, if they're doing nice things or appearing to be nice, that doesn't mean that they're nice either, because they could be, angels, angels in disguise, or that sounds like a Transformers, robots in disguise. No, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's common knowledge that evil will present itself as innocent or friendly, and lo and behold, that's like, if you watch a lot of those ghost adventure shows and stuff like that, a lot of times they'll say, like, they'll, is this really the spirit of a child, or is it something demonic presenting itself as an innocent child, So yeah, I mean, we can speculate, we can think that we know, but I don't think we can ever really actually know. That's my opinion. But I know there are people that do think that they know. So,
Yeah.
That's their opinion.
Yeah.
What you got for me?
And when I lived in Pitcairn, that's when I started thinking that my brother and my grandma Ida were trying to watch over me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really, I don't know how to explain it. I just felt like they were there. I wasn't like seeing any evidence from them like I am now, nothing like this. But I just kind of felt that they were in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Like you could
just
feel, you feel their vibes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But my grandma was a very timid lady. She probably wouldn't even let me know she was there. She was,
Just kind of quietly in the back.
yeah, she was always quiet. I felt bad for her one time. She lived up the road from us, and she walked down, and I was a kid. I don't remember how old, maybe 13. Excuse me. And I was baking cookies, and she was diabetic. And I was baking cookies when she came, and she's sitting at the table, and I'm taking them off the cookie sheet. You sit them on newspaper, to
Yeah.
pull.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden she says, "Is that one my cookie?" I felt bad because I thought she shouldn't have a cookie.
Yeah, right.
You know? Yes, Grandma, you can have the cookie. But I never forgot that, her just saying, "Is that my cookie?"
Aww, that's so cute. That's cute.
I
So
always felt like,
what makes you feel like, is it just a vibe, or do you get like impressions or senses of them, or like a scent, or you know is it just like I feel them around?
at that time, I just felt like they were around, but they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Right.
gone now. I mean,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
mean, they're gone. I don't feel them anymore.
Yeah, moved on to
I,
wherever.
yeah, I feel they've gone to the next level or
Yeah.
whatever they're supposed to be doing. I think they're gone. And that is when my mom went over, is when I noticed they were gone. That feeling that they weren't there
Oh,
anymore.
that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. So they were there when your mother was still alive?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
then did they leave prior to her passing or
I
after
do
she passed?
see, it wasn't like a constant feeling like they were there. It was just like I knew they were around, or like different times
Like
I would
every
be,
once in a while.
yeah, I'd get the feeling like they were near me, or maybe they were thinking of me or something, but it wasn't like somebody coming over and sitting down and having coffee with me or anything.
Right, 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 right,
It's just
right.
like I knew they were around, and I didn't talk
Hmm.
to them, they didn't talk to me. It was just like I just knew they were there. And then when mom passed over, they were gone, both of them.
Well, that's interesting. Huh.
But I wasn't mad about it that they were gone.
Right, right.
I just, well, that's how things are.
Right. Sure, sure. So were they hanging around her, do you think?
No, because my mom still lived in New Boys, and this I lived it was 2.5 hours away,
Oh, okay. Hmm.
and I would just drive back every couple of weekends to see my family,
Yeah.
so no, there was quite a distance there. So no, and my mom never spoke about it. So I don't
Huh.
know. My dad,
Interesting.
the only thing he said about my mom was that your mom seemed to know stuff from time to time, and that was all he would say.
So maybe you both kind of have like that sort of sixth sense vibe about you, you know?
And she did. She knew stuff. Like she would say, I have a hunch this is going to happen, and it would, you know.
Huh.
But it wasn't
That's cool.
consistent, and she wouldn't claim to be a psychic. She
Just vibes,
found
kind of.
Sylvia Brown
Get she'd
interesting.
she'd get a feeling.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
would be that'd be the extent of it.
Like an intuition.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of moms have that.
She'd always say, I've got a hunch.
Yeah, my mom
And
does
I
too.
mean, so mom.
My mom will get vibes off of stuff too, or like she'll have dreams that end up being connected to things that happen. Yeah, it's like an intuition sort of thing. Yeah, but I don't know that it's psychic or anything like that. I just think sometimes I think certain people maybe are better at kind of reading the room, so to speak, or reading the energy in the air. Because, there's constantly shifts in energy. Like sometimes, like, I don't know, this is a weird topic, but do you ever get like a sense of decades have a vibe? Like when you think back to the 70s, there was a certain feeling. In the 80s, there was a certain feeling. In the 90s, there was a certain feeling, etc. And it almost makes you wonder if like do we all collectively pick up on the same energy? And likewise, when you enter a room, sometimes you enter a room and you're like, okay, there's a weird vibe in here, or there's a positive vibe, or there's a negative vibe, or whatever, or like for no reason you get anxious. There's no reason, like I feel weird tonight. There's no reason. I was fine all day besides having this headache and the dizzy headed whatever, but just every once in a while, just for whatever reason, maybe it's caffeine, maybe it's your diet that you ate that day, or maybe you're just picking up maybe the neighbor's having a bad day and you're picking up whatever energy from them, or you're at the store and somebody's having an awful day and all of a sudden you have like, why am I sad? Or you know what I mean, like picking up vibes off of people. And even like with your brother or whatever, maybe some of his angst and that torture that he was feeling was kind of given to you, like either you were picking up on it or it was given to you to sort of maybe try to lighten his load a little, like I feel like sometimes, and there's a word for it in Christianity, this intercessory prayer, where you pray on behalf of somebody else and you sort of take on their burden. And I think sometimes we do that and we don't even realize it when we're like an empathetic type person. Like, if you're around somebody sad and all of a sudden you're sad, and it's more than just feeling sorry for them. It's like you're really taking their burden. And I think sometimes we do that and not even know that we're doing it, you know? So if you sort of think about human beings as energy, and we certainly have electricity in our brains, and that electricity doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere. When our body passes on, the electricity goes somewhere. Maybe we pick up on things like sort of radio frequencies, or your brain doesn't quite know how to interpret it, so you get some sort of physical reaction to it where, like, you just got a queasy stomach, or you feel anxious, or you got a headache or something like that. Like you're just kind of picking up on some radio frequency thing going on in the air. I mean, I don't know, I could be talking out my ass. But I think that these things happen. I think that we pick up on energy all around us. It could be an animal, it could be an echo of a lost time, you know, who knows?
They wrote, it was a 2-volume book, and it was by, you're talking about your eyes being weird, mine are weird tonight.
I feel like maybe there's some kind of weird thing going on. Like, it's so weird. This is a weird night for me. I don't feel normal.
I have floaters from, and
Oh, I do
glaucoma,
too. Yeah, I have
glaucoma
bad
and
floaters.
cataracts. And sometimes it's hard to see, and that screen is white and it's glaring.
We're a mess. We're a mess tonight, dude. That's funny.
But Frederick Myers wrote a book, and it had to be finished because he died before it was published. It had to be finished by 2 other people, but it was called Human Personality and Its Survival of Bodily Death. And it talked about it. It's a hard book to read. And there's an abridged version out there, but I read the full 2 volumes, which is like thousands of pages, it seemed like.
Yeah.
But it was so fascinating. And it talked about your subconscious and telepathy, that which I believe that now. The more, as things go on, I believe that, I was a subconscious, and I'm in this body right now, and this body's just a house.
Right.
I'm just here for a little while, and I'm moving on to the next stage. And I believe that I don't believe in reincarnation, like you said you don't. I don't believe in that. I believe, like, these people who feel like they were Cleopatra or whatnot.
Sure. It's always somebody big like that too.
Or king or something. It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You were probably the chamber pot, not the king itself.
Right. Yeah, it's never like some guy in a field somewhere. Anyway.
But I believe that these people who feel that they're reincarnated, maybe they are, but I don't believe it. I think they're picking up on the mental streams of somebody else.
Yeah, I feel like that could be possible.
Themselves, but it's not. They're reading their mind. They're picking up their consciousness, their memories.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe in ghosts. I believe that you're also, with your subconscious and telepathy, I think you're picking up a memory from somebody.
Yeah, like a frequency, like a replay of an event. Yeah.
Yes.
Like a rerun.
I think they call that stone tape theory or something like that. Where like you're picking up the memory or the impression. Yeah.
I mean, it all kind of goes hand in hand, like the vibe of a place, it's this intangible thing, but is tangible at the same time. Because, you can walk into a room and feel it, So what is that? It's something, whether it's just the air itself. Maybe it's a drop in barometer. Maybe it's air pressure and humidity level, and it affects your body in a certain way, because I know that that's the case. I mean, anybody who's gone to like a higher elevation, you feel the effects of that on your body. So, I mean, humidity level could play. I mean, who knows how dehydrated you are, or how much salt you ate that day. I mean, who knows how our body reacts to anything around us. And again, I feel like certain people are really good at paying attention to those cues. I mean, for instance, I'm one of those people that, how they say like 1 in 10 million people have this rare side effect of this medicine. I'm that 1 in 10 million people, like almost every time. And it's like, I used to think, okay, I'm just like a paranoid person and like making this happen to myself or whatever. But you know, you can't fake certain, like you can't mentally create certain scenarios. So one time I was talking to one of my doctors and she said, some people are just super in tune to like the even slightest change in your body. So if you're a little dehydrated, like you really notice it, or you know, your sinuses are a little swollen, or just any random thing. And she's like, some people are just hyper aware of it. And so it's hard to take medicine because you feel those side effects a little more strong than the average person who can just ignore it. Like, oh, I feel weird, and they just ignore it and move on with their life. Like, but when I feel weird, I'm like, okay, why do I feel weird? What's going on? Like, what, you know what I mean? And so I can't, I can't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything because I can't, anytime I feel even slightly off, it really, really messes with me. And so I feel like there's people like that. You're probably one of them as well, where you walk in a room, something's off. It might be a good off, it might be a bad off, but you feel it. And then other people walk in the same room and they don't have any idea that there's anything strange or, you know, odd or whatever. I don't know. Just my theory. But they even say like different types of blood, like different blood types have different reactions to things like medicine and caffeine and whatever. So who knows? And just like, you know, with the moon and stuff, we know that when there's a full moon, people act differently. Like it's documented. They, you know, so again, how does all this stuff play into how you feel, how I feel, how Joe Blow feels, you know? There's so many variables that we can never possibly know. That's again why I'm always like, you can think you have answers, but you really don't have answers because there's no way to know. You know, you can't take every scenario and break it down to find a commonality between all of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know. Like the people that see ghosts, maybe that day XYZ happened. They had a certain amount of water to drink. They slept a certain amount of hours. They had a certain amount of salt intake. The moon was waning. You know, the barometric pressure was at XYZ. And so they were extra in tune to whatever. But there's no way to know all that information, you know?
When I was ill
I'm just
there
babbling.
for a while, I could tell the doctor I was ill. That
Yeah.
I would tell him, I said, there's something in my house. I call
Yeah.
my house. I said, there's something in my house. I know there's something wrong. I
Yeah.
know it's here.
Yeah.
I was in and out so many times, and finally he would come in and he'd say, I would tell him that, and he'd look at his interns and he'd say, he knows. Take his word for it.
Yeah.
He knows
It's
there's something
true.
wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I went through the same thing. I kept telling, like, I went to my doctor for years and I'm like, something's wrong. Like, I don't feel good. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. They would run blood work. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. And I'm like, no, like, there's something somewhere. And then finally, after years and years and years and years, one doctor checked something that nobody else ever had before. And sure enough, there was an issue. Like, and like, you know your own body. So if you pay attention, some people don't pay attention, but if I'm even slightly different than normal, I start focusing on it and then end up making myself like have panic and all this stuff, which is kind of what happened I think today, because my head feels funny because of the allergies and all this stuff. My eyes feel funny because it's dry and it's allergies and all this stuff. And then I start fixating on it. And then I'm like, oh, now my stomach hurts. Oh, now my face is hot. Like, what's going on? What is wrong with me? I'm probably dying. I'm probably having some kind of weird, this whole thing happens. It's fantastic being me, let me tell you. But but I think some people just are that way. Like, I think you're just like you feel vibes, and like some people either pay attention to it or they don't pay attention to it, you know? Or maybe some people just don't see it at all and they think everybody that does is just completely off their rocker and full of shit. Yeah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Like
they
that.
used to, I remember it used to be like people would say, like, oh, if you're trying to do the Ouija board or if you're trying to do, like automatic writing or whatever, if you don't really believe it, it's not going to work, because you have to have like a certain openness to you, like a willingness to believe in it, I guess. And so if you don't believe in it and you're like, this isn't going to work, and then it doesn't work, you've just proven your point that it doesn't work, right? And then but the other people who are like, no, it works, because they're open to it. So there's this whole, does it really work? Does it not work? Is it all man, like your brain creates it, or we don't know. We just don't know. I'm babbling.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah, there's just so much unknown stuff in it. I find it all like, it's all so fascinating to me. Yeah, I
I
love
got
thinking about it.
fascinated in those books. They start talking about the automatic writing, and I think I told you this about it started with 6 different mediums doing automatic writing, and then
Yeah,
after several years, someone in the society decided to read all these different transcripts and realized they're all connected.
that's
And it
wild.
was like one big message, and it went on for years, decades, and it went on beyond those 6. And I haven't even read all that was written, but it was some of the forefathers in this society that had passed away, and they were doing literature
Yeah.
through their automatic writing through these mediums, and none
Wow.
of them connected it till this one lady did, and she spent years trying to put it all together. And
Yeah.
as far as I know, I don't think she ever did finish. It was just so complex, and they
Yeah.
were all over the world, these mediums, and some of them didn't even know the other ones existed.
That's fascinating.
Oh,
Yes.
it is.
I mean, and like, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I don't know how you would.
Either,
Telepathy.
either you're being sort of a conduit for something else, right? Like, it's fascinating. It really, I mean, I used to do automatic writing back in the day. And so now in retrospect, I'm like, what was that? Like, because I do still think that you can create things with your own brain. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
feasible to sit to think that I closed my eyes and let my hand write, but I know how to write. So I could have just created that myself, though it would, it didn't follow any line of thought that I had at the time. But theoretically, I could get a piece of paper right now, close my eyes and write a bunch of shit, right? But if
but it,
not, but it could also be that I was letting something else do that through me.
or like your subconscious, your awake
Right.
is thinking on something else, but your subconscious does something.
Right.
How many times have you realized you did something without realizing you were doing it at the time, or you,
Right, totally. Like, I threw
you
all that stuff away, and because I needed to throw it all away to get away from it. But
yeah, yeah,
it would be interesting to see that stuff now and see what, because I don't remember, I was 18 years old, something, 18, yeah, probably 18 or 19 years old. So I don't remember the context of, I remember the gist, but not like the actual stuff that I wrote. while doing this stuff. But it would be sort of interesting to go back now and see if any of it was relevant to the next decades, you know? Because there were times, like I say I wish I would have wrote this stuff down, but I really don't, because I don't think it's good to mess with stuff. But it would be interesting because, like, when we used to do the Ouija board, it would tell us, like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. You're going to do this, etc. And of course, at the time, some stuff really did happen. Like, and the weirdly enough, it would be like 2 days off, or like 2 numbers off, always 2. But some of the stuff, of course, was for decades later. And so I'd be interested to see if any of it panned out. But again, I don't think it's good to mess with that stuff anymore.
I
So I'm glad I don't have any of it. But yeah, creepy.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Curiosity killed
Probably,
the cat.
exactly. Probably better off, 100% better off not knowing.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. That was a rough time getting out of that stuff. Yeah, creepy. But yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of my friends and stuff back then did the same stuff, and they didn't seem to have the same problems I had. And I guess maybe they did, but in a different way. I don't know. But I don't know. Bizarre.
I never really associated with anybody like that. I did my book reading, you know, but I was raised non-denominational, and then I was Methodist for a while, and then I was nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean I have a very strong belief in God. I always have. I just meant nothing is I wasn't practicing any religion, but I never lost my faith.
Sure.
I never have and never will. And then I kind of got in touch with the spiritualist church here, but they did some stuff that in their messages and stuff to me, and I don't know. Like they would have psychic reading Sunday, bring your money. And I thought, if you are a real psychic, you're not going to charge for it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for a church.
Yeah. And I thought, that doesn't sound like something I want involved in or even want to.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bunch of charlatans to me.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Yeah.
You
I don't know.
Like I said, if you've got the gift, you're not going to charge people for it. You're going to use it for the good it was given to you for.
Yeah, it's like, I try not to get too much into this stuff because people are allowed to believe whatever they want to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's their business, and I don't like to come across like I think I know all the answers, or, you know what I mean? I just don't like I don't like to feel, I don't want to make anybody feel like I think I know anything, because I don't. I know what my life has been. You know what I mean? So I can only barely speak on authority about my own life because I, whatever.
Yeah,
But but yeah, I never like to make other people think, that I'm being judgmental towards them or whatever, because I truly believe people should believe whatever and find their own way and be open, but be open. Like, don't think you know everything, right?
Yeah, I don't want your audience.
You can't know everything.
I don't want your audience to think that what I believe and what I think is what I think everybody should know. These are my thoughts, my feelings.
Exactly.
I don't want to. If you want to talk to me about, fine, but I'm not here to tell you this is the way.
That's how I feel about it too. Yeah. Like,
I'm just telling you things that happen to me.
Right.
And I don't know why, but these are things that happen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Some people come at it with such a like, they either want to just prove that whatever you experience, you didn't really experience it, or they want to fight you about it or something. And I'm just so not interested in that. Like, I'm not interested in having debates. I don't like to debate. That's not of interest to me. Um, so sometimes people want to get into like sort of philosophical or religious debates about things. And I'm just like, you can do that someplace else. I'm not interested. Just tell your story, talk about your point of view, and let's not like try to disprove each other's uh, opinions and whatever, you know?
Yeah, or convert each other. No,
Right.
no. Yeah, I get that. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
not here to
just
convert anybody, you know.
right, right. It's like, no, this is my life. This is what I've been through. I'm not going to tell you that what you experience is wrong, and I don't want you to do that to me either. Let's just talk
Right.
about our lives, and it's you know, and as they say anyway, uh, living by example, you know, if you really want people to know your beliefs, set the example by being a decent person, and then people might go, oh, what do you know, what about you, like what's different about you, you know? I don't know. But anyway, so that was a strange tangent, I think we got. um
Good.
so what what has happened beyond that? So I know you've had some more synchronicities with your mother that I think are interesting, and feel free to talk about that, or don't if you don't feel comfortable doing it.
Oh, I'll tell you
um
stuff. I'll tell you. uh, I had a couple other little things happen, then I'll get into that.
sure,
But
sure.
I work for CVS Health,
Mm,
and you shop at our pharmacy.
I
Every
do.
once in a while I hear you say that on Facebook. I got this
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
on
I
your
do. I go to CVS and Walgreens all the time.
that. They're a great company to work for. They've been so good to me, and I was so
That's
lucky
awesome.
hired by them because I had my health troubles. They worked with me to get through it.
That's
You
awesome.
know, let me take time when I needed it, and I couldn't complain. I thought, wow, if I'd had a different kind of job or in a different company, I would have been fired.
Yeah,
But nope, he worked with me and helped me get through it, and
that's
I
awesome.
don't want to leave.
Yeah.
They're probably thinking, I wish he would go. But I started out in their call center. And I remember this, I was coming back from my lunch and I was walking towards where my seat was. And I saw a man standing beside, like, the operators were on the phones, and he was standing by this girl and she never saw him, but he was not the same color as like everything else around. He was gray, head to
Ooh,
toe gray. And I
huh.
watched, and as I walked toward him, he just kind of faded away. So I know I saw something that time.
That's interesting.
But he
Huh.
was like talking, and it was like he was like in a different time or something. And she was doing her thing with her computer and her phone and her headset, and he
Yeah.
was
So
standing
I
like
wonder
he
if
was.
do you think that he was associated with her somehow, or just happened to be near her?
Yeah, I think it was, well, like I said, I think it was just I picked up on his memory of being there, or maybe his impression of being around there. I think that's what I saw. I
Interesting.
think I saw like a memory or a film of
Hmm.
him or something.
Interesting. Like an echo, kind of.
Yes, excuse me.
That's interesting.
So we're done with it. Oh, you're going to like this one. in that apartment, I had that camera. And one night I just started taking pictures, you know,
Yeah.
laying in bed taking pictures, you know. I happened to look back. I lived in the top floor, and it had slanted raised ceilings, and it was beautiful ceiling. It was dark wood, you know, the walls were
Oh.
white and beautiful ceiling. And I was just taking pictures, and then I happened to look back in the pictures, and I thought, I've got orbs. You know, I was so excited. So for probably a week or two, every night I'd get in bed and I'd lay and I'd just take pictures and pictures. And I remember I walked down the street one day to go to the post office, and my neighbor lived down the street. She wanted to know, what is the flashing going on in your apartment window? She said, for the past week, we sat out here on our porch and watched the flashing light. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I said, I'm just taking pictures of the walls and whatnot, you know. So it was a night or two later, I got back in bed and I started taking pictures, and I moved the blanket and was taking more. And then I realized what it was. It was dust from the blanket.
Yeah. That's funny because that's the first thing I thought, because um there's this one YouTuber that does videos, and I'm like, oh my God, there's orbs in her videos. And a couple videos later, she was right in the middle of her video, and she goes, and no, it's not orbs, it's dust in the room. Yeah, I think that that's funny.
It does when it shows up on the picture. It does. It looks like a light. It's not.
Yeah, you were all like, oh my gosh, phenomenon, like, oh, it's fuzz from the blanket.
Oh, I'm ready to lay an egg over that one. You know?
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay. So then I remember I was in a meeting, and my sister was sending me a text that you better come home. That
Mm.
mom's, well, it was a couple nights earlier, my sister talked to me and she said that mom's breathing was kind of raspy. What did she think I should do? Because my mom was in a nursing home. Excuse me. She had sarcoidosis in her lungs. And she had been like declining
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. And in fact, she spent maybe 4 or 5 months at home, pretty much bedfast. Excuse me. You get a tickle and it won't go.
I know.
And when I would go home to visit, you know, it was all I could do to get her out, to help talk her into coming out and sitting at the kitchen table a little bit. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to exhaust her. I just thought it'd do her good to get up, just move
Yeah.
a little,
Yeah.
you know, not run a marathon, just come out, sit at the table a little while, and I'll help you get back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, she'd just lay there. And my mom was very dignified. She kind of reminded me a little bit of Rose Island, the
Mm-hmm.
sweet, innocent lady, but she was
Yeah.
very, very dignified. And I remember I couldn't believe my mom. A nurse popped in to see her. She had home health, and my mom didn't know she was coming. My mom would not come out of her bedroom and would not let the nurse in because my mom wasn't presentable.
Old school.
She had to be, you know, at least tidied up and in a better nightgown than what she had
Yeah.
on.
Aw.
It's like, Mom, you need the nurse.
Yeah.
But she ended up in the nursing home. And I remember first she was angry with my dad for putting her in, but he couldn't take care of her. It was
Yeah.
too much. And then my sister talked to me and said that her breathing isn't good. What do you think I should do? And my sister has, how do I want to put this? When my brother died, she had a nervous breakdown. So she had issues all her life.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me when she was asking what my opinion was.
Right.
I said, I think you should alert somebody, get her to the hospital, maybe from the nursing home. I don't think they're going to be able to treat her there. There's something's not right if she's got a heavy
Yeah.
breathing. And I remember I was in a meeting then, like a day or two later, and she sent me a message that you better come home. And I got my stuff together, left the meeting right away, and I got my stuff together, and I don't know what, it just took me forever to get my act together, to get up to from Pittsburgh to Du Bois. I don't know what was wrong with me. I still don't know to this day. But it took me 3 hours when it should have only took me 2 hours.
Do you think
But
maybe you were subconsciously avoiding
I don't know.
the difficulty that was to come?
But I got there, and when I went in the room, she was sitting up in bed, just as alert as anything, and
Mm-hmm.
talking. And my mom had put post-it notes on everything in her house: who give it to her, when they give it to her, why they give it to her, who was to get it when she was done with it.
Yeah.
You know how many post-it notes that is?
That's a lot. Yeah.
My mom had a lot of stuff too. But there she was, and all that day, she was giving us instructions. This, you're to do this, you're to do that. I need you to do this. This has to be done. Just I couldn't
Yeah.
even remember it all. It was too much. And she just was like declining, and she says, they're telling me I only have a few days left. And I said, okay, Mom. I said, it's all right, because after doing all my reading, I got where I'm not afraid of death, and I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want to go through something awful to get there.
Right.
When it's my time to go, that's fine. And on a side note, I don't want to sound like I'm cold or anything, but and I feel guilty about this. When people are grieving, I have trouble with that. And it's, I guess, because I'm thinking, they're saying, like, I'll never see so and so again. And I'm thinking, you will. I don't know why, but it
Yeah.
bothers me, people grieving, because I'm thinking, you shouldn't be grieving. You should be maybe happy that they're not going through whatever terrible thing they're going through. They've got relief now. They're okay.
Yeah.
And I believe that. But then I feel guilty because I'm, like, yeah, you were talking on a previous episode about
Mm-hmm.
when someone passes and people say, I'm sorry, do they really mean it?
Yeah.
And I feel that way too. I feel like I can't tell someone I'm sorry, because I feel bad that it happened and how it happened, but I also kind of feel glad that that person is probably really happy right now
Mm.
that they're going through what they went through. Am I weird?
No, I just think that's where you are. I mean, that's just how you feel about it. I think it would be weird if you thought other people were weird for how they felt. But that's where you are. So I don't think there's anything strange about thinking like someone has passed and they're not in pain anymore. I think most people feel that way, especially if someone suffered for a long time with bad health or whatever. You know, I think I think it's pretty common to feel like, okay, well, they're not suffering anymore. Yeah.
But mom was in hospice at that time. We put her right in hospice. And this was a Wednesday, and hospice decided that they wanted my mom out of the hospital. And my mom was saying she didn't want to go back to the house. She wanted to stay there. And her reasoning was that she didn't want my dad to have a memory of her back at the
Yeah.
house when she goes. She said he'll wake up every day and think I
Yeah.
was, and she said, I don't want him to go through that. And my sister, because of her issues, she didn't want my sister to see all this happening to her either,
Yeah.
for concern of my sister's feelings.
Right.
And for some reason, she could hear me, but she couldn't hear my dad, and she couldn't hear my sister. As the closer she got, the more she couldn't hear anybody but me, just
That's
me. She could hear
interesting.
me clear as a bell. And so it got where it was like people were saying stuff to me, and I would have to tell her. And we were all like right in each other's
That's
face.
weird. Hmm.
And then hospice decided that she was going home, and she was getting worse and worse and worse. And I knew it was like anytime. And I got in a fight with the hospital over it. I said, she does not want to go home. And if it's a question of money, I'll pay for my mom to stay here. She doesn't want
Yeah.
to go home. And I said, it's within minutes, maybe a couple hours, maybe a day.
Yeah.
And they kind of went back and forth with me, and then they left the room. And then the doctor came in, and he said to me, he says, your mom's not going home. She can stay here. I took care of it.
That's nice. Yeah.
So she just gradually got worse. And by Friday night, um, they were feeding her pureed food. And I went and I said, can my mom have something more besides something pureed? Can I get her something else? And they said yes. And they let me get her food. And she just kind of like went into like a sleep sort of. And I had been staying there day in and day out. And like when my dad or my sister would come in, then I would go back to the house, get cleaned up, and I'd go right back in. And I remember I talked to mom and I said, it's okay if you go, it's okay to go. You don't have to
Yeah.
stay. And she said I could always count on you even for trouble. That was mom sarcastic, but so that night I remember I was in the recliner at the foot of her bed, and she was like kind of had been in like her coma for a couple hours. I'm going to call it a coma because she wasn't aware of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she started talking, and she was talking to several people. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but she was talking. I know she was. She was conversing with somebody.
Yeah.
And I know why I wanted to tell you. Right before she went into that state, she started hearing a buzzing in her ears, which I feel was hummingbirds, because
Oh,
she
yeah.
loved
Yeah. Yeah.
hummingbirds.
Yeah.
And she said it's so loud, this buzzing. And she kept staring up in the corner of the room. And she just kept looking up at the corner. And then, of course, she slipped into that, and she was talking in her sleep. And that was a Friday night. And then Saturday during the day, she basically just laid there, and the whole family come in, a whole bunch of them all around. And I thought, she's waiting till they go. I know
Yeah.
my mom. She's so dignified that she won't go till they go.
Yeah.
And that evening, everybody left, and I went over and I was holding her hand, and she was just laying there. And all of a sudden, the change happened. I knew she was gone. She'd waited till
Yeah.
everybody left. It was about 7:30 on a Saturday night, and I think my dad maybe had been gone 10 minutes, and she was gone. And
Mm.
I was so glad I was there. And I wasn't sad that she was gone, but it changed me that year.
Yeah.
I was different. I know I was different. And I had a doctor's appointment a month or so later, and I told the doctor about this, and I said, I feel different. I'm not depressed. I feel fine, but I feel different about stuff. He said I was depressed. I was not depressed. I just felt different about stuff.
Like different perspective.
Maybe that was it. And I've kind of been that way ever since. So just, I understood what was going on. I feel whoever was on the other side was the one she was talking to.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I don't know what she was saying, but she was talking to people. I know she was. I
Like
could
sort
tell.
of in it, like sort of in that in between here and there. Yeah.
And don't be sad. I'm not sad. But I remember, I'd say maybe a few days later, my dad and Jacob and I went up to the gravesite. And all of a sudden, it was just brilliant light, brilliant sunlight. Not like a normal sunny day. This was like brilliant. And I just got this feeling like it was like mom saying, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I noticed Jake, he even looked up and around like he noticed it. My dad didn't.
Yeah.
He's dad's dad. He doesn't hardly say anything,
Yeah.
But Jake noticed it, but he didn't say anything about it. And I got that feeling. I thought, mom's kind of letting us know she's okay. And look back because there was something else I wanted to tell you about that. So then it was not too long after that. I'd say about a year later, I started having more foot issues. In fact, I had them all through this with my mom. My one foot, and I lived 4 flights of stairs up, and I knew I had to get out of that and get on the floor. And I planned and I plotted, and then I got in a major mess with my foot, and I had a surgery on it. I ended up in a nursing home for like 6 weeks, and that was a nightmare in itself. We won't go into that because if I go into all that, we're going to all But anyways, I'm trying to arrange to move from the bed, and I got an appointment for in this apartment complex. Only there were no apartments open. And the leasing office was here, and the guy said, the apartment that will open will be just like this. This is a model. Would you like something like this on the first floor? And I said, yes, this is fine. I'll take whatever you got open. I didn't realize I was getting one that would be not by the roadside. This, where I'm at, it's the same layout as his office, but I either have 3 flights of stairs up to get out, or I go down the hall, up a little staircase, and a long walk to the parking lot. So I got the apartment and I got moved in, and I kept getting sick. And I was infections in my foot, one right after the other, and in the hospital for a week at a time. And I remember one of the times on the way home, the hospital would arrange to get me home. It's just up the street. So they put me in a taxi, and I remember the woman, she was so difficult with me. Don't touch my door. Don't put your foot in the door. Keep your feet in the floor. Don't touch the windows, that kind of woman. And I thought, So we get here, and she parks down at that end, and I started to walk in, and I remember the closer I got to the apartment building, my ankle was hurting so bad. And by the time I got into my apartment and in the chair, I was crying. It hurt so bad. And a home health nurse come that night. because I was supposed to be on in-home antibiotics for 6 weeks. I think I've had every antibiotic under the sun. But
I'm
anyways,
sure.
I ended up back in the foot doctor's office, and my foot had collapsed
Oh.
from its diabetic Charcot foot, and it's from neuropathy,
Mm-hmm.
and the bones literally went to mush.
Oh.
So I was walking on my ankle.
Oh.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had 11 surgeries so far. He recommended amputation or putting a pin in it, a nail,
Mm-hmm.
up partway up almost to my knee. And I said, I'll take the nail because I didn't want to lose my foot. And he did
Yeah.
that nail, but now my foot sticks out to the side. So I can't get around hardly. I can't drive. So I'm homebound. I'm stuck here, and I can't get up and down these steps unless someone helps me. So I'm here, and I haven't seen my dad in almost 4 years, or my sister, because I can't travel.
Right.
I have everything set up so I can get around in here, and I can walk, but I can't go a distance at all. And I can you see these?
Right on.
I have them all over the apartment so I don't tip over when I have to pick something up.
Yeah.
You know, weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Yeah.
But so life goes on, and then my dad decided that he wasn't able to care for the house anymore. So he decided, I'm missing something that I have to tell you. I'm sorry, I'm going to backtrack.
Okay.
When mom was starting to pass, and I want to show you something. She wanted a specific necklace.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She wanted a specific necklace, specific dress, and we could not find it. And after she had passed, my dad and my sister and I went all through her jewelry chests and her cupboards and stuff. We couldn't find it anywhere. So this is about 2 years ago. He decided he was just going to sell the house, and he was going to sell it with contents in it. Just pretty much walk away with just a few things and take an apartment. So he did that, and he sold it about September. And because I couldn't go back and see him, I would send money to my sister so that they could both go out and eat somewhere on me. Because I couldn't be there. I wanted him to know I care about him. So I would send them money, and they were at a Dutch pantry eating one night, and the guy that bought the house come up to my dad with the only thing out of the house he gave my dad back, and said, "We found this, and it was my mom's necklace."
Oh my gosh, that's so wild.
I said, "Dad, if you or my sister don't want that, may I have it?" And yeah, you can have it. And he sent it to me, and I got it. That, and there's earrings with it, and
Wow.
a butterfly pin. And I thought, my mom wanted me to have that. I know she did. That was my feeling at the time, because my sister didn't really take care of anything, but I do.
Yeah.
Even my compact disc and even my Lycia compact disc, I put them back in the case.
Yeah.
They don't get scratched. I take care of that stuff.
Yeah.
You have your own little shelf right up there. I even have duplicates of some of your albums.
That's funny.
So I got the necklace, and then That's when I kind of suspected that Mom was trying to get through to me. Now, it's not like you and I are talking.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's not like that with my mom. And that's when I realized that my brother and my grandma weren't around. I thought, Mom's here. And it's been getting stronger with Mom. And now I'm like shocked. But anyways, I realized then with this necklace that I feel Mom was trying to get through to me. I wasn't completely sold on it, but I thought there's something strange that out of that house, that's the only thing that made it out, and it made it to me. It just wasn't right, or not.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to say
crazy.
right. I would have thought maybe it'd be in a box of a bunch of stuff, you know, maybe a truckload of stuff, but no, that's the only thing he brought. Oh, and a couple papers on some important papers he found. That was it. He kept everything else, that guy.
That's funny.
So, and it was when on one of those trips in and out of the hospitals when I started seeing hummingbirds on the TV.
Yeah.
And I knew everything was going to be okay. And I wasn't afraid of the surgeries because I kept thinking it's just a house. My spirit's okay. I'm fine. My body's not great, but I'm fine. I'll be fine. Even if I lose the body, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so I realized that whenever I start seeing something with hummingbirds, maybe it'll appear as a picture on Facebook. Maybe I'll see one, that my mom is trying to tell me something or to pay attention.
Yeah.
So, I told you this one too, that one day I woke up and that morning I said, I miss you, Mom. I said it out loud. And I work from home like you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, a funny story there. My phone says it takes me a half an hour to get to work. From the living room to my desk in the back room here is a half an hour.
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, can you hold on a second again?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Keep pausing us. Hold on a second.